button, good. And I'll start that slide again. All right, for heart disease, the Mayo Clinic defines heart disease as a range of conditions that affect your heart. Diseases under the heart disease umbrella include blood vessel diseases such as coronary artery disease, heart rhythm problems, arrhythmias, and heart defects you're born with, congenital heart defects, among others. The term heart disease is often interchangeably with the term cardiovascular disease. Heart or cardiovascular disease affects 50% of Americans. It's the leading cause of death with approximately 650,000 deaths per year, which is about 1 in 4 deaths is related to heart disease. Heart or cardiovascular disease generally refers to conditions that involve narrow or blocked vessels that can lead to a heart attack, chest pain known as angina, or stroke. Other heart conditions, such as those that affect your heart's muscles, valves, or rhythm, also are considered forms of heart disease. Many forms of heart disease can be prevented or treated with healthy lifestyle choices, which we'll go into a little more in detail later. There are quite a few risk factors leading to heart disease, many of which are within your power to control. Some of the contributing factors are high cholesterol, hypertension, or high blood pressure, uncontrolled diabetes, family history, smoking, physical inactivity, and diet. Some causes can't be prevented, like genetics or age. High blood pressure often runs in families. Genetic risks can play a factor. However, implementing modifiable risk factors like diet and exercise can yield positive benefits. We're going to talk about cholesterol. High cholesterol contributes to plaque buildup in the artery walls, which makes the heart work harder to circulate the blood. If plaque breaks apart, it can cause a blood clot. If the blood clots an artery that feeds the brain, this can cause a stroke. If the artery feeds the heart, it can cause a heart attack. Cholesterol helps your body build new cells. It insulates nerves and produces hormones. Cholesterol comes from 2 sources, your body and food. Normally, the liver makes all the cholesterol the body needs, but cholesterol can also enter your body from foods such as animal-based foods like saturated meats. Too much cholesterol in your body is a risk factor for heart disease. When there is too much cholesterol in your blood, it builds up the walls of your arteries. The arteries become narrow and blood flow to the heart muscle is slowed down or blocked. The blood carries oxygen to the heart, and if not enough blood and oxygen reach your heart, you can suffer chest pain. If the blood supply to a portion of the heart is completely cut off by a blockage, the result is a heart attack. Various types of cholesterol. There are 2 forms of cholesterol that many people are familiar with. The high density lipoproteins, the LDLs, you can remember that as good or highly desirable or handy, and low density lipoproteins. Those are the bad or lousy cholesterol. These are the form in which cholesterol travels in the blood. LDL is the main source of artery clogging plaque. HDLs actually works to clear cholesterol from the blood, essentially removing the extra LDL cholesterol from your arteries. Having a low HDL count puts you in a higher risk of developing heart disease. Triglycerides are another fat in our bloodstream. Research shows that high levels of triglycerides may also be linked to heart disease. And those are also the ones that are commonly found in fat, which our body stores when we don't burn off our energy. We store it as triglycerides. Oops, sorry, skipped one. Apologies. Can talk about blood pressure. Oh goodness. So high blood pressure is a common condition in which the low force of the blood against your artery walls is high enough that you may eventually cause heart problems such as heart disease. Blood pressure is determined both by the amount of blood your heart pumps and the amount of resistance of blood flow to your arteries. You can have high blood pressure or hypertension for years without any symptoms. Even without symptoms, damage to blood vessels and your heart can be detected. Uncontrollable high blood pressure increases your risk of serious health problems, including heart attack and stroke. According to the CDC, 140/90 is considered high. There was a study done from the Framingham Heart Study that followed a subset of 1,300 participants ages 55 to 65 who didn't have any hypertension at baseline. After tracking them over their lifetime, they noticed that the risk of developing hypertension was 90%. So that's real high. It can affect a large number of people as your risk factors increase as you age. 120/80 is an optimal reading. Now that we've had a little background to heart disease, we're going to discuss the changes that you can make with these heart healthy strategies. For the good news, diet and lifestyle changes can make a difference. With a healthy diet and lifestyle, you can control your cholesterol by increasing your HDLs and lowering your LDLs, which in turn can help manage your blood pressure. Diet and exercise can reduce the blood triglyceride levels. Remember, that's the fat found in your blood. And systolic and diastolic blood pressure can decrease, lowering your risk of hypertension. Many of you may be familiar with the DASH diet. The DASH diet stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. Though this is related just basically to specifically heart disease, it's a great kind of diet to follow along to be eating whole foods and decreasing your salt intake. But it can help and treat hypertension and heart disease. You also want to decrease in saturated fats, added sugars, and overall salt intake. And you want to increase those whole foods, which are fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean meats. Ideally, you want to eat a wide range of produce, so a wide eating the rainbow for best health benefits. All the colors do something different for your body. For example, red produce like berries and pinto beans, which are high in fiber, help the heart by lowering the LDLs. Aim to have half your plate full of fruits and vegetables and a part of the plate full of proteins. And then you'll also see some dairy later on when I get to the plate slide. But all forms count, including frozen and canned. Where fresh may taste the best, you still gather the health benefits from frozen and canned foods. Just be sure the canned produce is low in sodium and fruits are in 100% juice. So fresh is best, but you can still get nutrients from frozen. And then if frozen isn't available, then you have canned options that you can get your fruits and vegetables with. Whole grains. All parts of whole grains provide fiber that keep arteries healthy. Scientists are finding it is not just the bran and fiber, but it's a nutrient in whole grain that provides the most benefit. Aim to have 1/4 of your meal in whole grains and healthier starches. Fiber has shown to lower LDL levels, reduce the incidence of stroke, diabetes, and colorectal cancer. The best whole grain foods are darker breads, brown rice, toasted wheat cereals, and oatmeal. When looking for whole grain foods, be sure the first word is whole when you're looking at that nutrition content on the back of it, which also means that it's going to contain more fiber. Lean proteins. A number of studies suggest that replacing high-fat meats, which contain high amounts of saturated fats, with more heart-healthy proteins like fish, beans, poultry, nuts, seeds, and low-fat dairy can help prevent heart disease. The nutrients in these forms of protein can help lower cholesterol and blood pressure and help you maintain a healthy weight. Plant-based sources of protein are high in fiber, which we know helps to lower LDL cholesterol and also help you feel fuller longer. Heart-healthy fats. Monounsaturated fats are healthy fats found in olive oil, avocados, and certain nuts. In fact, the evidence shows that monounsaturated fats have a number of health benefits. They can help with weight loss, reduce the risk of heart disease by decreasing your LDLs and triglyceride levels, and decrease inflammation. You want to avoid trans fats, which will increase your LDLs and decrease your HDLs. Those are two broad types of trans fats found in foods. Naturally occurring, which are produced in the gut of some animals and foods made from these animals. Artificial trans fats or trans fatty acids are created in an industrial process that adds hydrogen to liquid vegetable oils to make them more solid. In 2013, the FDA determined partially hydrogenated oils are no longer generally recognized as safe in foods. Some common items that contain hydrogenated oils are margarine, vegetable shortening, packaged food, fried foods, many coffee creamers, and some peanut butters. Some easy switches out for maybe some everyday things that you may use. They do have natural peanut butter options that don't have hydrogenated oils in it. You can also get your dairy, your creamers for your coffee, also come in a natural form. So when you're looking at those labels, you're looking for, it typically says partially hydrogenated oils. And that is really common with things that are prepackaged that have to sit on the shelf life for a long period of time. So be looking for those, because that's something that will lower your lower your HDLs, and which can ultimately increase your LDLs as well. So remember, when you're picking snacks out, fresh is best for your snack options. Sodium. High sodium consumption can raise blood pressure. According to the American Heart Association, the recommendation for sodium intake is 1,500 milligrams a day, and the USDA says 2,300 milligrams per day. When looking at nutritional labels, aim for 5% or below of daily value in order for a food to be considered low or no sodium. It must contain 140 milligrams or less per serving for it to be considered in that low range. Try substituting herbs and spices with certain antioxidants that'll help fight cancer and can increase the taste without needing as much salt when you're cooking. We're going to put this all together. Eating healthy is a journey shaped by many factors, including our stage of life, situations, preference, access to food, culture, traditions, and the personal decisions we make over time. All your food and beverage choices do count. MyPlate is a great place to start and offer ideas and tips to help create healthier style eating that helps your individual needs and improve your health. Create your meals with these portions in mind. So this is what I was mentioning, by half of your plate with fruits and vegetables, and then you have about slightly a quarter is of grains, a quarter protein, and then you need to get some form of dairy or calcium in throughout your day. And if you're not familiar with this, you can go to the USDA MyPlate, and it gives a lot of tips on the serving sizes of those. There has been a little shift in the MyPlate coming out from having to weigh everything or put it in cups or that kind of thing. So it's this is a quick and easy eyeball to what your plate should look like. Now, if you don't like vegetables, it doesn't mean that your plate can be half full of fruit. So there's a lot of sugar that you still get with fruit. So do keep that fruit down as well. If you have any other dietary reasons why you shouldn't be having a sugar, make sure that you're always following your doctor's recommendations or nutritionist. Here's some heart healthy pantry staples that you may want to have in your pantry that are quick and easy to grab. Some heart healthy pantry staples are canned beans, the monounsaturated fats like olive, coconut, or olive oil, brown rice, canned fish, canned lean chicken, canned produce, nuts, seeds, and plain popcorn. And although not in your pantry, frozen produce is always great to have on hand when fresh isn't an option. So switching over to some lifestyle habits that will help to decrease your risk of heart disease. One of them is sleep, aiming for 7 to 9 hours nightly. Although these are things that you probably may be aware of, you want to make sure you are getting that 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Remembering consistency is key, even on the weekends. It's never too late to see some benefits also of quitting smoking. Talking to your doctor about doing so as well. Stress relief is also something that affects our heart. It affects our blood pressure. It affects other symptoms in our body that can create kind of that flight or fight response as we may deal with a stressful situation or anxiety or those kind of things. Studies suggest that high levels of cortisol from long-term stress can increase blood cholesterol, triglycerides, blood sugar, and blood pressure. There are common risk factors for heart disease. This stress can also cause changes that promote the buildup of plaque deposit in the arteries. And some of you have heard about belly fat. That's one of the things is increased cortisol levels that really attribute to belly fat and belly storage. So that's another reason to try to decrease your stress so that you don't have that fat storage in the belly as well.
Lindsay, could you go back one slide? I wanted to take a photo of it, a screenshot of it.
Yeah, is it if I do that at the end because I have to go over?
Okay, sure.
Close it down. Okay, I only have a couple more slides, so I'll remember. That was the slide for the pantry. Was it that one?
Yes, it was.
I'll go back to that right after this one. As you notice on the slide, it also talks about stress relief with decreased levels of stress hormones, inflammation of the arteries, and as I mentioned, blood pressure. So stress can affect all of those things. Exercise. So as we all know, we need to get more exercise. And during the time of COVID, we may have found ourselves being a little bit more sedentary. So just overall increasing your physical activity throughout the day. There's been a lot of studies out about sitting for prolonged periods of time, and that can affect you in so many different areas, not just in heart-related health. But as much as you can, even if it's just getting up and walking around your house a couple times, trying not to find yourself sitting for long hours and periods at a time will really be beneficial for you in so many different ways. So wherever you're at in your physical activity level, if you're not doing anything currently, know that just start with small bouts of physical activity. The recommendation is to aim for 150 minutes a week when we're talking about aerobic exercise. And as I mentioned, you can start with small bouts. That doesn't mean that you have to go out 30, 45 minutes to do a really hard power walk. It may be small bouts throughout the day. So maybe it's going for a 10-minute walk in the morning, doing something around the house during the day that you keep giving yourself kind of those little breaks. It could be 10 minutes again in the evening. It can even be doing some chair exercises, some, taking a virtual class, coming to the fitness center, any of those things that can help you add those minutes in your workout. And slowly in time, you'll be able to build up to that 150 minutes as well. When it comes to resistance training, the recommended guidelines is at least 2 non-consecutive days per week for all major muscle groups. When I say non-consecutive days, if you're doing total body, that means that you're not doing it 2 days in a row. If you're lifting, say, your upper body on Monday, you can lift your lower body on Tuesday and then go back to your upper body again on Wednesday or Thursday and then repeat it. So just that you're making sure you're hitting all major muscle groups twice per week, total body. And ACSM, those are the recommended guidelines from ACSM. They also recommend that you start out if you're starting a weight training program, that it's 1 to 2 sets of all of those exercise with in the rep scheme anywhere from 8 to 12 reps. And remember, when you do start a resistance training program, you don't want to start with really heavy weight. You want to create a really good foundation and don't want to injure yourself. So it is a good idea to find a weight that you can lift in about that 12 reps range, that maybe towards the last 4 to 5 reps, you're having a little bit of fatigue, but it shouldn't be a really hard struggle on that first few reps. That means that your weight is a little bit too high. If it's real easy and you can do 25 or 30 at that weight, then that means that your weight is a little bit low, that you may want to add a little bit extra weight. Try to do that for a couple of weeks, and then you can slowly increase what you're doing as your body adjusts to that. Some other benefits of aerobic exercise It improves circulation, which results in lowered blood pressure and heart rate. It also can improve or help control your blood glucose. Resistance training has a more specific effect on body composition for people who are carrying a lot of body fat, including abdominal fat, which also increases your risk factor for heart disease. It can help reduce fat and create leaner muscle mass. Research shows that a combination of aerobic exercise and resistance work may help raise your HDLs, remember those are the healthy ones, and lower your LDLs, which are those bad cholesterol ones. So I do find just in questions that I get from residents and working in the fitness center, quite a few people do cardiovascular activity. It's real easy to go for a walk or do something active outside or even inside. But one of the things that some people are missing in their program is resistance training. So not only does this help with heart disease, but as you age, you do lose muscle mass. And that's about, you can lose 5 to 10% of muscle mass every decade. So unless you're actually loading your body, you can even load your body with body weight. So I'm not just talking about lifting weights, you squatting or doing some wall push-ups or floor push-ups or planking. Those are all add load to the body. All those things help slow down that process of you losing muscle mass. So that's something that you really want to integrate is total body strength training. So not just your legs, not just crunching and doing your ab work, but you want to be lifting upper lower body and working on some core exercises as well, which we won't go into depth with that, but just kind of understanding the importance of strength training too for increasing your bone density, increasing your muscle mass. It also helps to increase your metabolism because as you do, you want to gain muscle and lose fat in order for your metabolism to be a little bit higher. You'll also be burning more calories at rest than when you're doing cardiovascular activity. One of the other benefits of weight training is it increases it's called your EPOC levels post-exercise, your excessive post-oxygen consumption. So you're actually burning a higher level of calories post-strength training workouts than you are when you're doing cardiovascular workouts. So cardiovascular workouts do burn calories, which you need, as well as condition your heart and your lungs. So they offer different things, but as mentioned in combination, when it comes to heart disease, it will improve those HDLs and lower those LDLs at a faster rate when you're doing a combination of the two. One thing that I didn't mention on this slide, but that's also key to a well-rounded fitness program is flexibility. That's one thing everybody should be working on is their mobility and their flexibility. It doesn't have a direct correlation to heart disease, but it is something that you want to do for an overall well-balanced fitness program. Also, you want to keep your muscles mobile, which can also help when you're building strength. If you have tightness in certain areas, they can pull in different ways. So keeping you mobile in that way. If you do add deep breathing exercises, however, to flexibility, or maybe you take a yoga class, that can help to decrease your risk of heart disease because you're working on that stress relief, that diaphragmatic breathing, turning on that parasympathetic nervous system that you have when you do deep breathing. And sometimes you're doing strengthening poses when you're doing yoga as well, if it's not just a stretch restorative class. So there can be ways that you can reduce with stretching, but just stretching itself doesn't have a direct correlation to heart disease, but something that everybody needs to be doing during their workouts. Here's kind of for more information, if you would like to jot down any of those links to go to. We talked about the MyPlate, which is www.choosemyplate.gov. There's also a link for the DASH diet. Even if you just Google in DASH diet, it'll come up with a lot of those things that I talked about today. If you didn't know, Exos also has a website. They also have a blog page, exosathome.com. It also has recipe links. So if you want some further information, a lot of the communications that we've been putting out once a month, which it will be going out today. Also link some of the articles on our Exos at Home page. And if you didn't know that we do that, the first Thursday of every month, we send out a monthly communication letter that has various either articles, videos on our 4 pillars of fitness, which for Exos is mindset, nutrition, movement, and recovery. So check out some of those resources that we send out every month too. We've also started a movement of the month that we've included in there. And we're doing a quarterly series. The first 3 months is on posture. We have shoulders coming up after that, balance, and then core stability. So look for those exercises to implement in your workout programs as well. And I will go back to that page, that pantry page for you to take a screenshot of. And does anybody have any questions? They can either unmute themselves, or you can feel free and type that into the chat bar as well at the bottom. I hope you guys got some tidbits that you can use. There's that Heart Healthy Pantry Staples. And one thing I would encourage you, if you don't already do, is start reading your labels. You got to know what you're putting in your body. If there's a lot of things on the label that aren't real food, you know, if a lot of the things you're reading and you have no idea what they are, maybe second thinking about putting it in your, in your body. So again, fresh is best. It mentions plain popcorn on here. There's a lot of great popcorns out there if you like to snack that don't have a lot of calories but can increase your fiber intake, that maybe only have 3 or 4 ingredients in them, and they're all natural ingredients. You know, Smart Pop, Skinny Pop, all those ones. Those are nice little heart healthy. But be active in knowing what you are intaking, and just know that a lot of the shelf life stuff does have things that aren't natural, that's hard for your body to digest, and can increase that plaque buildup if you have those trans fatty acids in there. I'm reading this. Oh, yep. Thanks, Wayne. And Wayne is doing a seminar after this on sleep at 1 p.m. That link is included in that in the lifestyle communication that went out today. He does have the link right there, but I don't think you guys will be able, I don't know if you guys will be able to push directly on that, but did you want to say anything, Wayne, about that?
Yeah, so I before moving here from from Austin area 4.5 years ago, I worked in a sleep wellness center. And so I'm going to be sharing perspectives there. Basically, I'm taking a half-a-day seminar and squeezing it into about 40 minutes.
Sounds good. And sleeping is such a big thing to your body's recovery. So he'll have some really great tips for you on something that we overlook a lot, and maybe some strategies that you can implement for a healthier sleep. That was one thing that ties into heart disease too, because getting that regular sleep, going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time is really a big thing in creating some of those healthy sleeping habits. Thanks, Wayne, for reminding everybody. Does anybody have any questions pertaining to the lecture? I'm going to stop my share. I hope you guys got some stuff out of that today. And thank you all for joining me. I will be putting this on, I'm going to stop recording.